and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And I have the one and only RosaLinda Diaz on the show today. So make sure you stay with us. You'll want to hear this gal's story. And we are back. Let me bring RosaLinda on. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Welcome. Good morning.
This is RosaLinda Diaz, the sequel.
Yeah. Yes. Hello again, everyone.
We tried to start this before and had a malfunction. So here we are, and we're ready to rock and roll. So I mentioned to you before that I started this show. It's been almost 3 years now. And hey, Edna, good morning. And so it's literally, I created this to help people have a breakthrough in life that get stuck. And we all get stuck and go through crap in life. And I think that by hearing other people's stories of how they went through crap in life and got unstuck, I think that's healing. It's helpful. So let's start with where you were born and raised.
All right. So I was born in Santa Monica, California, which makes me a native Los Angelino. Apparently, we are very rare. LA is a very transient city. Hi, Thomas. So I grew up in an area called Silver Lake. And I had like a 1 block radius that was my domain as a child. So, even though you think of LA as a big sprawling city, it was very idyllic, almost country-like, where I could ride my bike and
Wow.
roller skate and wander around. And I mean, I was adventurous. So climbing the back walls, the easements of our apartment building to the other apartment building to get, my shortcuts. So I grew up in LA in a fun area, fun creative area.
So you were just out riding your bike in the streets of LA as a kid?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I consider myself a city child, even though Los Angeles, when you think of a city, you think like New York City and high rises and all that. And Los Angeles is a different kind of a city, but it definitely wasn't where I grew up. It wasn't suburban, I wouldn't say. There were apartment buildings and houses and, at a church and a high school, actually the high school where they filmed Grease.
Yeah.
Grease up the street from me.
Wow.
The original
I love that movie.
Right? The original Walt Disney Studios was my grocery store. So at the corner of our street was a Mayfair grocery store. I think it's a Gelson's now. And that was the original Walt Disney Studios. Wow. And then what's fun, and so there used to be a plaque there in the parking lot that said that. And then on the other side of our apartment complex was these little thatched cottages. And they're just very out of character for the rest of the neighborhood. Very English Tudor looking, like really with the thatch and the white panels with the wood and everything. And they were actually the inspiration for the Seven Dwarfs cottage for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel like California's changed at all?
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends. I have a couple of friends out there. They're very conservative, and they're like, "Yeah, this is the Republic of or the Soviet Republic of California now." It's gotten a little crazy.
I'd be hard pressed to disagree with you on that one. It's very, it's really different. LA is not the LA of my youth, so it doesn't. They say you can't go home again, and it's true. There's just that time. There's a period of time where you existed, and and then it's changed. So yeah, LA
Yeah.
is, when I grew up, it was very creative. It was, a lot of artists, and
Yeah.
it was interesting. And LA feels really, I mean, and I think it probably always looked this way to everyone else, but it feels very superficial now, much more so
Wow.
than it ever did before. So,
I think I told you the story of me driving over to LA, right? And we went out,
traffic.
we went to the Santa Monica Pier because I was like, I just remember I didn't even know. I mean, my wife's been to LA 1,000 times, but I had never been there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
so I'm just driving, I guess, south on the freeway, and I'm like, oh, there's an exit for Santa Monica Pier. Let's check that out. And like I'd never, I've seen it
Yeah.
on TV. Let's go there.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
oh my gosh, it was interesting. There were things I remember on the pier when you're walking, where you don't want to have your little 7-year-old daughter seeing some of that stuff. I was like, honey, cover her eyes. Oh my God. So, but we went out to the restaurant. There's a there was a Mexican restaurant out at the end of it was beautiful. It was amazing. So, yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
One of the great things about LA is that you can go places that you have seen and that are famous on television and in film.
yeah.
And that's one special thing about living here.
Wow, look at this. Ben Gay, who is a legend, his wife, he said, my wife, Gigi, worked
Oh,
at that Mayfair and lived in that
Lisa.
neighborhood. Wow,
Oh, we're neighbors. Hi,
that's
Ben.
so
And
cool.
Gigi.
That's so cool.
Small
So,
world.
so did you ever like, okay, so you went to school, you went to grade
I went
school
to
and
a
all of
good
that?
grade school called Ivanhoe that was 100 years old when I went there.
Wow.
So little schoolhouse. Yeah. I mean, not, like you think of LA, you're like, oh, well, you couldn't walk to school, it's dangerous and whatnot. I mean, I'm not a morning person ever, so I definitely got dropped off. But I would walk home once I was of an age. I walked home from school, and it was through busy streets, and I cut through alleys and whatnot. But I considered myself a bad what at that time. And we could,
Badass. You can say
yep.
that.
Can I say that? A
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
Definitely
So
had, some attitude.
would you recommend that these days?
No, I would not.
You said not so much. No. So okay. So you went to high school there and
No, no,
oh
no. So that was elementary school. I did 1 year of middle school here in Southern California. I was accepted to a performing arts middle school. So that was the best alternative to the regular middle school that you got funneled into. That place was very scary, and I did not want to go there. And I'm very lucky that I got through. It was called, I don't know if it's still around, but it was called 32nd Street Magnet School for the Performing Arts.
okay.
And it was not in my neighborhood. It was for LA people. It was it's across the street from USC and next to the Shriners building. So quite a far ways away. So again, my mom worked downtown, so I got dropped off, and then I took the bus home. It was an interesting experience for me. It was the first time, when you're in elementary school. I mean, if you go through elementary school through high school with everyone you've known for your whole life, you don't have this experience. But for me, all of a sudden I went to this school and I didn't know anybody. And that was a hard transition for me, and would continue to be a hard transition for me through the rest of my school career.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the place that I learned to love reading. I did not fit in well. It was a mix of neighborhood kids that were able to go there, and then other kids that got in and were bussed in. It was a great experience. I mean, we had art, we had dance, we had drama, and I loved all those things. But the students and I didn't fit together. So every nutrition and lunch, I went to the library. I mean, I made a couple friends, but I went to the library and I hid pretty much.
Wow.
Um,
Why?
and
Was it you felt insecure? You weren't accepted?
yeah, pretty much. This is probably not a popular topic, but no one really talks about this. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Caucasian. I don't necessarily look Puerto Rican. My name is very Hispanic. So I got a lot of pushback from the other Hispanic kids that did not think I fit in
Wow.
with them. And it was a very, Caucasian was the minority at the school. So that's just where the kids decided that that's where I belonged. Like I said, I made a couple good friends, but most of the time I kept to myself.
Wow.
I know you have kids, so I don't know if you've gone through this in middle school, but it was almost a daily, I was not a troublesome kid in elementary school, but all of a sudden you get to middle school and I was in the nurse's office every day. I don't feel good. I don't want to go back to class. I want my mom to come pick me up. It was just that much trauma. So anyway, so that's where I went to the library, and you can't go to the library and not pick up a book eventually. So I was a very slow reader, and I'm still a slow reader. But it was painful for me to have to do book reports and things like that in school. So it wasn't a natural outlet, but sitting in a library by yourself day in and day out, you get bored. So I picked up a Judy Blume book, and that was my initiation to becoming a lifelong reader.
Well, and who's Judy Blume? What's she write?
Oh, Judy Blume is
steamy novels, right?
Yeah, right. Well, her adult novels are quite steamy, I think.
Oh, she has adult novels.
She does have adult novels,
but I didn't know that.
Yeah, she writes for kids, for adolescents. She's like the queen of the adolescent angst sort of novel. I mean, back in the day, angst is nothing about social media and things kids are going through now necessarily.
Yeah,
but
right.
The feelings are still the same. And she captured them beautifully about, fitting in, or, like one of her great books is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, or and I can't remember any of the other ones. I remember a great picture book when I was a kid that she wrote, The Pain and the Great One, about a big sister and a little brother, which I loved. But so my books became my friends.
So did you have siblings?
I have a half brother, and they moved to Florida when I was 10. He is 4 years younger than me. So
Who's they?
My dad, my stepmom, and my half brother.
Okay. So you didn't get to see your dad much?
I did not. Yeah. I was really reflecting. I've been doing some work around this recently, just emotional work. And it occurred to me that, up until about 10, I had like an everyday dad. He wasn't in the house, but he would pick me up from school, to go to school occasionally.
Yeah.
And we would get donuts on the way, which is something my mother would never do. It's such a dad thing. Or I get dropped off there if I was sick, or whatever. He'd take me with him. We'd go get ice cream at Thrifty's, which used to be a drugstore. And then at 10, it changed, and I didn't have that connection with my father. On that, not even, sort of a daily basis. He became telephone dad. I talked to my dad on the phone, and then I would see him in the summers. So again, my mom's a single mom, and what do you do with your kid in the summer if you're a single parent? So when my dad moved, I went to Florida for like 2 months.
Gotcha.
But my dad was running a business. He went into the restaurant business when they moved to Florida. So he was incredibly busy. So I still didn't spend a lot of time with him, which, as I reflect, that was a really pivotal moment in how a lot of things changed in my life.
Sure. So you went through that I mean, I can relate to that actually. So when I think a lot of people can, so you went through that, you go through middle school. I can relate to that too. Both my daughters, my oldest is 15, so she's going into 10th grade next year. And it's just been awful for her. The way that I mean, kids can be just, when I was a kid, it was a lot different. There were bullies, but you handled it,
Right.
in a way different way than they teach today. A way different way. So, and there were people that tried to bully me, and that didn't work out so well for them. But so, I think that, obviously it's changed, but so you go through middle school and then you got into high school. Were you in the same area in high school?
No, so seventh grade, we were in LA. And again, I was calling mom a lot saying, come pick me up. I don't feel good. I don't want to be here. And, my mom was looking around at life and just thought, my child is miserable. And, my father had moved by that point. So there was no blood family that would necessitate us staying in Los Angeles. So she thought, you know what? We're going to move to Hawaii. So that's what we did.
Oh, that's right. You started to tell that story before.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hey, okay. You moved
like I said,
to Hawaii.
Rough transition for a lot of years.
God, so seventh grade, you are 12, maybe?
Yeah.
And you moved to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Where you know everybody.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Holy crap. Okay, so you moved to Hawaii. Your dad lives in Florida. That has to feel like it's on the other side of planet Earth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I still went there in the summers, but
Jeez.
Yeah, that was far from everybody. Far from
So your mom
everybody.
put you on an airplane in Hawaii and you flew all the way to Florida by yourself.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, I was doing that since my dad moved to Florida, so at 10.
Oh my God.
That was a parental conversation that that battle that my mother lost. And that was put her on a plane and we'll pick her up. Flying alone since 10.
Wow. So you moved to Hawaii and how was that?
Talk about going from not fitting in to really not fitting in.
Yeah.
That was, I thought I was a badass. I was from LA. And I wish I had a picture to just flash up here, but Doc Martens were popular. Those, I guess they're popular again. There were plaid hoodies and like a skinny jean kind of a thing. I don't know. Everything is old is new again. That was my outfit. That's what I wore, to school. That's what I thought was very cool. You can't wear that in Hawaii. You get heat stroke. But I certainly tried.
Wow.
So yeah, Hawaii. It's clear I didn't fit in. Hawaiian people are lovely. Hawaii is lovely. But they get, because of the military and whatnot, they get a lot of people in and out of their lives. And I think they're just a little bit more wary of letting people in to their circles, especially people from the mainland, which is what they call, the continental United States. So right away, I just knew I was not going to fit in here either. And that chip that I had on my shoulder, from being from Los Angeles was just knocked right off that very first day of school. I remember this girl confronting me on the bus.
Wow.
And saying, just asking me a couple questions and she got to her point. And she's like, well, you have dark hair. If you were a blonde, I don't think you'd make it. But with brown hair, I think you'll be fine. And I was just like, oh my God, they're going to kill me. I'm going to die.
Wow.
I'm going to die here.
And are these people, this was a girl that was like native Hawaiian?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, the friends that I made there were, again, also the outcasts, the people that came from the mainland, people that had parents in the military. We didn't live on or near a military base, but sometimes people choose to move out farther. We're in an area called Hawaii Kai, which is a gorgeous area. And so, eighth grade, and then transitioned to high school in Hawaii, to Kaiser High School, where an episode of Magnum PI was filmed, by the way, long before I went there.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, so that's where reading also kept me sane and connected.
Did you run to the library again?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember the library in the middle school, but I remember going to the library in high school because we didn't, Hawaii was tough. Hawaii is expensive. It's not just expensive to go vacation there, it is expensive to live there.
Yeah.
So, we did not have a car. So life got really complicated. And I wouldn't have said that I was a spoiled child in Los Angeles, but, we had a car. We could go places. And so, this brought my world down even a little bit smaller, a little bit more humbling.
What did your mom do for a living? What did
my mom's a legal secretary.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's able to find good employment.
She was working at a law firm then, I assume.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Downtown Honolulu. So in the morning, she would catch her bus, and her bus would go right in downtown. I would catch my bus across the street. I would go left to school. Friday nights we're catching the bus half a mile away to go to the grocery store, and walking home, carrying the week's worth of groceries.
Jeez.
It was, it brought my mom and I closer together. It allowed me to understand a different way of living, a way that I had never experienced in my life. Even when I see people waiting for a bus now, I always look in my rearview mirror and look around like, God, I hope their bus is coming soon, because I know what it's like to just stand there, just waiting for your bus and looking at your watch like, well, I guess it's late.
Wow. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm missing out. I've never been on a public bus. I haven't.
You're not missing much.
I'm gonna go down. I live an hour north of Columbus, Ohio. I'm gonna go down and try it. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
I would say, you know what? Hawaii is a great place. So they have a really great bus system. So unlike Los Angeles, which has the worst public transportation of all time, I don't care how they try to fix it. It's terrible.
Wow.
Because LA is so spread out. You can't get where you want to go.
Yeah.
So, but Hawaii, beautiful bus system. So, other than the inconvenience of it, you can really get everywhere you wanted to go.
Yeah.
Which was great. So if you go to Hawaii, you don't need to rent a car. You could take the bus.
Okay.
Oahu, that is. We lived on Oahu. I don't know what the bus system is like on the other islands, but yeah.
Did you go to any of the other islands at all while you were there?
Not while we lived there, but we had been. So my father's mother, my grandmother, lived in Hawaii for quite a few years when I was very small, and her and my mom had been quite close. So my mom and I would go visit her in Hawaii for vacation.
Yeah.
I had been to Oahu. My mom loves Hawaii, so we had taken a vacation, family vacation. Family being the two of us, family vacation to the Big Island, and then since we've gone to Maui quite a few times.
Wow, that's awesome. So, how long did you stay in Hawaii? Did you graduate high school there?
No, nope.
Oh,
the saga continues of being the new girl.
Oh God.
Yeah. So, freshman year of high school, they encourage you to go to the College and Career Center.
Yeah.
So I marched. I'm such a nerd, I'm sure no one else did this on their free time, but I walked in there, lunchtime or something, and went through all the brochures, and saw a brochure for Pepperdine, and I vaguely remembered seeing Pepperdine on the Hill in Malibu when I was living there, when we had gone to the beach. And I just looked at their brochure and I was like, yep, that's where I want to go to school. So I went home. Malibu. Oh yeah. Very expensive taste over here.
Now, where is Malibu in comparison to
Santa Monica?
Yeah.
So it's just up the coast, up PCH, depending on traffic, maybe like 30 minutes.
North?
Yeah, you could call it north.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. It's secluded. It's lovely. It's a very ritzy area. anyway, so that's what I decided. I went home, told my mother, she sighs and goes, well, get good enough grades to get in there and we'll talk about it. So, challenge accepted. But going into my sophomore year, I think my mom looked around and realized that putting me through college was going to be an incredible struggle from Hawaii, especially if I wanted to go out of state. And I did. There's no part of me that wanted to stay in Hawaii for college.
Right.
So we moved again.
Wow.
And this was a move that was, I would say, divine providence, in those moments where everything goes wrong, but you end up someplace that serves your next step. We tried Virginia Beach, which is where my grandmother was living, and this is a summer of transition.
You moved to Virginia Beach.
Well, so what happened was is we just put everything in storage because it takes so long for things to get from Hawaii, so that it goes on a boat, of course, right? No furniture or anything, just belongings. But I had like 4 dollhouses that, God bless my mother, she was willing to transport around the country. We made them. Anyway, so we tried Virginia Beach. Didn't work. My mom's friends had come to Colorado. We went to Colorado, and we thought, you know what? Again, bought a car there, and decided we're going to go back to California. But LA was still not feeling good, so we're going to try Santa Barbara. And when you try something and it's a round peg and square hole, and it's just not going to work. And it doesn't matter how much you try, it's not going to work. So that was Santa Barbara for us. And that was a really bittersweet pill, because Colorado was never, ever on the table. But a huge law firm had closed in Santa Barbara and absorbed all the jobs. And there was just nothing. And Santa Barbara is pretty isolated. I mean, to drive from Santa Barbara to LA for my mom to work downtown would have been hours and hours and hours of travel. And then, so we, tail between our legs, drove back to Colorado, stayed with that friend. There were a lot of jobs at that time in Denver. And that's where I finished out high school.
Was in Colorado.
Wow. Yeah. So I think I've mentioned it before, but I went to Columbine High School.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Wow. Before it happened.
Before. Yeah. I graduated the year before.
The year before?
Mm-hmm.
So did you know the kid that did it?
I did not know either of them.
It was two. Was it
two? Yeah, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. I did not know them. Again, right, new girl. And of course, I was a junior. They were younger than me, so I didn't have any classes with them. A good friend of mine had French with one of them. I had French with one of the girls who was shot and paralyzed because of her injuries. Really sweet girl. And what's ironic is, again, this is not where we were intending to end up. I started school 2 weeks late because in California at the time, school started after Labor Day, and that's what we had been planning on. School in Colorado started in August. So when we returned, junior year is the most important year in your high school career. I was 2 weeks behind. I needed to take, more advanced algebra and what else? Physics, things I was not adept at. But I remember distinctly, because I have always attended public school, and I attended public school at 3 different states. And the irony is, this is the best school I ever went to.
Wow.
It was an incredible school. I mean, they had just remodeled it.
Wow.
So it was brand new. I mean, the first thing I said to my mom when the counselor took us around, and I just remember walking into that first hallway and making a left, and they had windows in the doors, those like little peer-through windows, and looking in, and I turned to my mom and I said, all the desks match. And I'd never been to a school where the desks matched. It was like, it's like, kind of like, wow, this is a rich school, this is going to be a good one. And it gave me a really good last 2 years of high school of education that
So
allowed
did
me.
you know, is this a morbid? I don't know if this is a
Hmm,
morbid question, but did you know any of the
everyone.
students that were, no,
No, I
just
did not.
the one girl that
Yeah.
lived?
Yeah. Thank God.
Wow, what a
It,
horrific event. But and you were
yeah.
there the year before it happened.
Hmm.
Were you, that year were you still in Colorado? The,
No. So I
oh,
graduated
you
and
went.
I went to Pepperdine.
That's right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got
So you
in,
went back. Did your
um,
mom go back to California with you?
no, she was in Colorado for another few years. Halfway through my college career, she moved back out here. Um, yeah, but yeah, calculus, all the things, all the math. I
I
mean, so
love
you can't.
math. I
Oh
loved it.
God,
Yeah.
I know several people who are so good at math, and they say math is a feeling, and I look at them like they're an alien. I'm like, what do
Yeah.
you mean it's a feeling? It's the
Yeah.
feeling of despair. Like,
Well, I don't love any of it now, but science was what ugh. But
I know.
so
Yeah,
you ended up going to Pepperdine. Well done.
yeah,
You
thank you.
graduated from Pepperdine. You had a
Yeah.
degree in,
Creative writing.
of course.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the goal was to be an actor, and many people questioned why I was not getting a theater degree. I had no good answer for them. I think intuitively, I just knew that creative writing was where I wanted to focus my attention, but I thought I would be writing screenplays, not novels.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, I mean, you're still very young. There's still
Thank you.
time. You might do,
True.
you might
Actually,
do you might write a screenplay that changes the world. So, so you graduate Pepperdine, and what does one do with a creative writing degree? I'm curious. Go to
yeah.
work for the LA Times?
Yeah, right. Um, so creative writing, it's so strange because it's not like there's no funnel that says this is what you do now. And again, the goal still when I graduated was to be an actor, a working actor, preferably.
Yeah,
Um,
that'd be good.
yeah. So I was an actor. I was not a working actor.
Charles, hold on. Is this a replay?
Was Charles have had the same experience?
No, I think he was
Oh,
on
oh,
the first interview we tried when everything fell apart.
okay. Charles, this is where everything gets new.
Yeah. So
So,
and you get out of, I didn't go to college. In fact, I dropped out of high school. So I don't know what professors teach. I know what some of the teachers shouldn't be teachers, but do they not say along the way, hey, by the way, when you graduate with this creative writing degree, you're probably going to be lost for a little bit, wondering what to
no,
do.
no, good God. I wish somebody had. I wish there would have been a class in, hey, guess what? There will be a lot of existential despair when you graduate college. No, there was, no, there was none
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I think education falls down quite a lot. High school and college, there's not a lot of practicality. It's
Yeah.
you're learning learning how to write is practical, but there was no class that said, hey, this is how you market and publish a book, or the things that you need, the business things. And I always
But
regret.
I gotta get this part. I gotta get, like,
Okay.
your graduation day. You got the cap and gown. You're graduating from college with a creative writing degree, and you're like thinking, I can't believe I'm graduating. This is awesome, and I'm gonna go. What? Like, you
Yeah,
didn't have a thought? I'm gonna go write books now.
go be famous actress.
Wow. At 22 years
Mhm.
old, or
Yeah.
okay.
So I had already been in classes. So again, not a theater major, but I started taking classes from a very wonderful and esteemed teacher named Eric Morris, who is still teaching. He's in his 80s now.
Do you know Glenn
Wonder
Morshower?
what? No, Eric Morris.
No, I said, do you know
Oh,
Glenn
do I know?
Morshower?
I don't.
You've seen him. He's been an actor for 45 years. He's one of my best friends in the world, and
Good for him.
he's got to teach an acting school. He teaches acting.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
So
nice. Okay.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there's a lot of lies when you go through any kind of creative profession, but especially for actors. And I don't mean Eric's work, because Eric's work is amazing and made me a better person and a more aware person. So I will never regret the 5 years I spent training with him. So that was my junior year and beyond. So after I graduated, I was still studying with Eric. So then I became, an actor. And what do actors do? Actors get gig work. So I bounced around, and I did genuinely try to find employment, doing things I was well suited for my creative writing degree. But it all ended up being things that you could do or not do at the drop of a hat, so that you could go audition. I definitely got fired from a couple jobs for being creative about why I wasn't at work, because I had an audition that was more important to me than going to that job.
Wow. So how long did you do that?
Man, 10, 12 years.
So now you're into your 30s.
Yeah.
Trying to be an actress. And were you getting some acting gigs?
I was getting some things that were small.
Commercials.
Yeah, nothing that it was like, wow, this is working. So again, existential dread. That lasted a long time. I did think back. So in 2013, I think, I got my first book deal with the publisher. And I remember my first creative writing class, and our teacher, Dr. Shamus, had a guest speaker named Winnie Holtzman. And Winnie Holtzman has done a lot of amazing things, but she did Wicked, if you remember the Broadway musical Wicked.
Yeah.
So she came and spoke with us, and she was, I think, an actor and a writer. And so I raised my hand and I said, when do you know? Because of course, I was freshman of college, so everything was possible and attainable immediately during that time, right? Like as soon as you leave college, I'm going to have the career I want and all that stuff. Yeah. So I raised my hand and I said, how do you know which one to pursue? How do you know? And I will credit her for my sticking with my writing, because she said, you do both until you can't, until one takes over your life. And in my mind, that was like, getting an A-list movie or getting a New York Times, best-selling book.
Mm-hmm.
That was not the case for me, but it became clear as I was going through the publishing process with my first book that I couldn't devote any time to acting. I couldn't devote the time to going through and submitting myself and all the things that you have to do as an actor, because it's time consuming.
Sure.
And I decided to put it down temporarily. But I decided to put it down to focus on my writing, to give my writing the chance that it deserved. And never picked it back up again. And then consciously decided to stop acting years after that. But that was, it was a question in intro to creative writing, but that her thoughtful answer just stuck with me, and that was the word I'm looking for.
Pivotal moment.
Pivotal moment, sure. Advice. That was the advice.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm a writer. That was the advice.
Very creative one too.
Yeah, that was the advice I needed in that moment to help me make that decision to step away. So many years later. But it's they teach you. I mean, I've read really great books. I think it was called The Next Happy, about no one teaches you to stop following the dream. There's no great wisdom that says, now's the time to give up, or, like, hey, here it is. And no one says that. And everything is, never, never, never give up, right? Which was Winston Churchill talking about a war, but they like to put it on everything, or, don't give up on yourself, or just keep going. You're almost at the top of the mountain. And I will say that sometimes those are lies. Sometimes those are not true. And sometimes those are the things that keep you on a path that is damaging for you and psychologically hurtful for yourself as well. These are the reasons I couldn't stop acting so much sooner, because, the adage, like, to believe in yourself and you'll get there, I'm just like, I have tons of belief in myself, so how could I stop? How could I stop? How could I give up this dream? Again, it's just something people don't mention. And I think it's, so if anyone's watching that has that moment or had to give up a dream or something, like, it's okay. Like, maybe what you got out of pursuing that dream was exactly what you needed.
Yep.
And it's a-okay to step away. It's okay to find a new dream. It's okay to put it down for a while and never pick it back up again. There is no shame or guilt in that. That society, likes to foist upon people that are really creative or pursuing something.
Yeah. Don't give up. But I mean, look, it's the truth. I mean, I could suddenly wake up with this great passion and dream to be a number one player in the NBA. And right. No matter how hard I try at 52 years old and 6 foot tall and slightly maybe overeat now and then, I'm not going to make it in the NBA. It's not ever going to happen. Like, right. No matter right. how passionate I am about it. So there are, but I think that, to your point, yeah, Sean says, is that why I still don't play the guitar or piano? Maybe. But I think that you're right. There is a moment where you have to select the path. And I think that comes from trusting your gut, which I believe is God talking to you, right? Yeah. You have to be able to listen and trust that and go in that direction. Like Henry David Thoreau said, go confidently in the direction of your dreams. So, if it's not working, it's not working.
Yeah, exactly. And what, and as a good example, what you said about wanting to play in the NBA. Yeah. But, creative dreams or, actors or musicians, artists, so much harder to quantify that.
Yeah.
So much harder. And because you also hear so often about people that are like, well, I struggled for years and years and years and years, and then I got my big break. And that's that carrot. It's a carrot that comes in front of you, and you just, So again, and I didn't give up, or I didn't stop, and then not do anything else creative. From that point, I've published 11 books. That I would not have been able to do while being divided in my attention. There's just no way. So
you in 2013 you published your first book with a publisher. Like, here you are, not even a known writer. How'd you get a publisher?
Well, so I wrote Bee Stings in 2005. Worked on it for a really long time, did workshops and edited and all that sort of stuff, but was also sending it to publishers and agents all over the place.
Okay.
Again, this is also another one for writers. You hear about J.K. Rowling, who was, rejected 40 times. So you think, well, okay, I'm going to keep sending it out there. And this was fortuitous for me that I had a friend who was with this publisher, small publisher, but she said, hey, I have a good editor for you. Because I had one book that I had asked someone to edit for me, and this was a different one. And I said, cool. So I contacted this person, and she was the editor on staff at this publishing house. So she went through it and said, I think it would be a good fit for them. You just have to take out the swearing. So I did.
Oh my gosh.
And, when I did, I went through it. I went, wow, there's a lot of unnecessary curse words in this book.
So you got a publisher though.
So I got a publisher. Yeah. And I say and this is the hard thing about being a writer, an artist. You have these gatekeepers, and at the time, self-publishing existed. It just didn't exist in the way that it does now.
Right.
And you get this opportunity, and you think, oh my gosh, I've been trying to do this for almost 10 years. This is my chance. I'm going to say yes to anybody. Yeah. I'm going to say yes to anything. And I have seen writers over the years, well, now it's a little different, that say, I looked at this publisher, they didn't seem like a right fit. I said, no, I was never going to do that. So right. They offered to publish my book. I said, great. And at the time, I hadn't written any romance novels. I don't consider this book a romance novel. It's more women's fiction. And romance novels, they can churn them out. There's sort of formulaic. Their readers expect a lot of new material, and that's what these people published a lot of the time. And they had just started expanding, so I was one of their newer authors. And we just didn't see eye to eye. Their publishing campaign was for different types of books. I had certain ideas, and they didn't meet with them. It was very interesting and insightful to go through the whole publishing process at a traditional publisher. That was eye-opening, and I don't think I could self-publish my books without having done that first.
How many publishers turned you down?
A bunch.
You don't know how many?
A whole bunch.
I always wonder how they keep the exact number, but do you know what the number one best-selling book ever is?
Oh God, it's going to depress me, isn't it?
It's not the Bible. I mean, it's the Bible's number one. Number one. Okay. So number two is this.
Right. Yeah.
So Mark Victor Hansen is a very dear friend of mine, and they've sold over 600 million copies of that book, right? Of amazing. All the, he's written 312, I think, best-selling books, but Mark said he taught in my class last week. And wow. in my Grow Live Academy, he came in and taught. He's such a good dude. But anyway, he said that him and Jack Canfield, yep. They were turned down 155 times. Can you imagine being one of the idiots that said no to that?
You know what though? Like had one of them picked it up, they might not have been able to reach the success that they've had.
Right.
Because a publisher, they have lots of other books, and this is how we do the thing, and this is our formula, and it may totally have hit the mark, not have hit the mark for them, their book would be, one that a handful of people have read, and that was it.
Yeah.
So again, the divine providence where things don't turn, things are not working, and you know how long that takes. 150 publishers, especially back in the day, like when you were to mail things to people. I mean, even email. 6 months or longer to hear back from somebody. It's crazy. It's a good chunk of your life that you spend as an artist waiting for someone to give you a green light. And that's another
you're literally waiting for someone to say, we approve of you. We accept you.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a play on emotions.
Right?
Like,
and then
am I worthy? Am I worthy?
You get the formula letter back, and sometimes they don't even get your book right. It is like, dear author, so sorry, we didn't want to publish,
That's terrible.
X, Y, or Z. And you look at it and you're like, that's not even the name of my book. Like,
Oh my God.
wow.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Wow. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
So you started publishing books in 2013. You've now written 11,
Yeah.
published 11,
Published 11, written
published 11.
13. 13.
Wow.
The first book I ever wrote has not been published. I love it dearly. We'll see what I do with it.
Wow.
It's a children's, it's a middle grade book, chapter book. So it's special for me.
So how are things going for you now?
You guys are good. I'm always growing. I'm always trying to reach another level. Trying to, I'm not trying, right? What does Yoda say? There is no try. Improving my systems, improving the way I reach readers, all of that. When I started publishing, I was involved in certain readers groups or writers groups on Facebook, and they talked about something called rapid releasing. This is something a lot of romance writers do. And I thought, okay, well, if that's what people want, like maybe I could do that. And what's popular right now? Billionaire books are popular. Okay, let me challenge myself. Let me see if I can do that. And so I wrote and rapid release, so published a set of 3 books within maybe 5 or 6 months. But as one was being released, I was writing the next one. So about 4 to 5 weeks to write a whole novel.
Wow.
That was challenging. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so I know I can do it. I know I can do it. I did it for 2 series. So I did it for my Billionaire Club and my School Bells.
Are you saying billionaire?
Yeah. Billionaire Club. Yeah. Billionaires. Millionaires. Who wants to read about millionaires, Ken? Billionaires.
I know, they're a dime a dozen. So you're writing billionaire books. What's that? I don't even know what that means. What is that?
So the billionaire trope is, good-looking rich men and their fun, fantastic lifestyle. And whether it's from the woman's point of view or the man's point of view for meeting someone. So my billionaire series, I always have to be a little different. That's just me. I can't follow the formula exactly. So, for instance, for my first billionaire book, his billionaire whisperer, we have a billionaire who's from Montana and comes to LA because he wants to start doing real estate development because he doesn't want to be a part of his family's cattle ranching business. So I know, all makes sense in a book, Ken.
Yeah.
So,
and this is a real person.
No, this is my book.
Oh, this is made up.
This is all fiction. Yeah. It's all fiction.
Wow.
So that's what's fun about fiction. You can do whatever you want. So he comes to LA and he's just not being taken seriously, and he needs someone to help him. And so in comes Bryn, who is a personal assistant to a very wealthy family, but her boss has died. And she's been fired by the children of this woman. And so her skill set, is very good assistant, but she doesn't want to go be an assistant in a high-rise building. She enjoyed what she did before. And a friend of hers sees an ad, like a kind of a strange ad, and puts her name in. She gets called for it and goes and meets this billionaire. And her job will be teaching him how to be a billionaire, or proper billionaire in LA standards.
Right.
There's
get the Montana out of the billionaire guy, right?
Exactly. So, it's fun. It's fantasy. You can do things in a billionaire book like, hey, we're going to go to London to buy some custom made suits.
Wow.
Because you can do that in a billionaire book. If I was writing a book like my first one, Bee Stings, which is very rooted in reality, you can't get away with that. So the billionaire books are fun.
That's awesome. It's kind of a Pretty Woman type.
Very much so. Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. And they do go to the polo fields like they do in Pretty Woman. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the title of that book? The first billionaire book?
His Billionaire Whisperer.
His HIS?
Because
His
Bryn is the whisperer.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Gosh,
Yeah.
I haven't read a fiction novel in a long time.
Oh wow. I love fiction.
I do too. You're taking me back. I forget the author's name, but I used to read these this fiction novel of this guy. He's like a homicide detective in Minneapolis. I forget. It's very, very popular. But anyway, I used to read this guy's novels, and yeah. So wow, you're taking me back. Maybe I need to. And that, I think that when you're reading fiction, there's a lot of business moguls that are like, don't read fiction books, read, stuff that. But I think what happens is, because the creative side of the human brain is the right side. And I think that when you're reading something fiction, especially if it's by a great author like you, it takes you to that right. It activates the right side of your brain, and you can be more creative in your business and in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Fiction reading isn't just escapism. It's just and it's not passive. Like watching television is passive, right? So it lights up different sectors of your brain, and even listening. So if you ever listen to audiobooks, they've done studies where it lights up the same sectors of your brain as reading does.
Yeah,
your brain is still processing the story and still doing things in that same way. So yeah, fiction reading is a wonderful escape. That's
amazing.
There's a great book I recommend to everyone. It's a Stephen King book, and I'm gonna be a bad author and tell I haven't read any other Stephen King novels except this one. But it's called 11/22/63, and it's about the Kennedy assassination. But it is about someone going back through time and trying to stop the assassination. And it is one of the best books I've ever read in my whole life.
Wow. Wow. That's interesting. I've never even heard. I mean, I know who Stephen King is, obviously, but I've not read any Stephen King books ever, not one.
And it's not gory. He's obviously an excellent writer, and it just sucks you into this world. And again, it suspends that disbelief, right? In acting, it's called the fourth wall, right? So it would be me looking at the camera. That's the fourth wall. It's where the audience is. And when we could go to the movies, or when you sit down to watch a show, you, as the audience member or as a reader, you have that suspended disbelief, right? So I will buy into what you are telling me because this is what is here. So he does that really well. Oh, thank you, Charles. Anyone knows someone at Hallmark, look me up.
I'll bet $100 that Glenn Morshower is watching this right now. Glenn played Agent Aaron Pierce on the TV show 24 with Kiefer for 7 years.
Oh my goodness.
He's on a current TV show called The Resident. He's got all he's been in over 250 movies and TV shows. So
I applaud you. Working actors.
You know him, I guarantee it. You know his face.
I do.
But anyway, so he's probably watching this, or he'll see the replay, and I know he'll just adore you. So, but I think that and I cannot believe, I've been sucked into this interview. So I can't believe we're at an hour. I want to ask you a couple of questions. We'll go a little bit over. Okay. Number one, and I ask these questions of every guest that comes on the show. So the number one is, in your opinion, now the number one answer is fear. So you got to you have to do better.
You got to do better because I'm a writer. I will do again. I'll do better.
Yeah. Access that right side real quick. Ready? So in your opinion, what do you think holds people back in life from achieving real financial success and happiness?
Ooh.
And they are related. I don't care what anybody says. They are related.
Yeah.
You take any miserable person and dump $1 million in their lap, they're gonna be happy for a minute at least, right? So
Yeah.
there is some relation. But what do you think holds people back in life?
I'm going to go with ownership.
That's a unique answer. What do you mean by that?
I think ownership of your choices, ownership of your attitude, taking responsibility for yourself, for your day, for your trajectory, and all those things. I think ownership is something that that doesn't get talked about a lot because it's not popular. It's popular to blame a lot of other people for your life and your situations, and there can be, you can have a lot of crappy stuff happen in your life, and at some point you have to recognize that it happened and that certain people were the causes of certain events, but ultimately it falls back to you to move forward from them in whatever way you need to. So taking ownership of your story and how you how you walk through the world, it's 100% on you. You're not going to die, and God isn't going to say, well, oh yeah, your fifth grade teacher, he was a real jerk, and it's okay. It was his fault. It's okay. No, it happened, and you got to figure a way around that.
Your fifth grade teacher.
I speak from experience. I had a horrible fifth grade teacher.
So, and I'm trying to remember what school that would have been in LA.
Yeah. Ivanhoe Elementary School.
So so the other question I have, it's kind of related. 2020 was a bad year for a lot of people. And it was a great year for a lot of people. It was one of the best years I've ever had personally. But a lot of people, I mean, the suicide rates went skyrocketed, and a lot of people suddenly found themselves without a job, without work, without knowing which way was up. If somebody called you and said, I've tried everything, my electric's being shut off tomorrow, my car was repossessed, I don't know which way to go, I'm barely hanging on to life by a thread, what would you say to that person in that moment to help them through to the next?
What I think the most important thing for people to know is that they're worthy, that they matter. So the car being repossessed is a thing, and the electricity being turned off is something we can turn back on. We can't get another you. You're here for a reason. You're here, and people love you, and you matter. And all of these things are and believe me, I know, and I know that how devastating that can feel, but they are transient, and we can step out of it. I don't want to say fix it, but you'll be able to move past it. You just have to get through this moment. And I think in that moment, you need to recognize how deeply you matter, and that you at the center of all of this are still worthy and worth fighting for. And all that other stuff can be replaced in time. And there's a way through.
That's amazing. Great answer. Great answer. I am I don't know if you know this. I'm an Amazon influencer, and I'm one of I don't know how many people are allowed to go live on Amazon directly, but I'm one of them, and it's a very, very small percentage of the planet. And I would like to invite you to be on an Amazon Live with me soon.
Oh, I would love that.
And
Thank you. I'm
we'll
honored.
sell the doo-doo out of your books. And
Woo!
so we need everybody to go over to your website. Is all of your social media on there as well?
No, I think my web guy said that oh, thank you, Tom, that it was important to keep it all about the books. So it is not on there.
Okay. Well, I've been a web guy for 27 years, and I teach social media. So you can tell your web guy that I said he's wrong. You need to have your social media links on there. Like,
that's what I always thought too. And I was like, oh,
you gotta. So where's the best social media place for everybody to follow you? Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, so Facebook is a great place to follow me. So back in the day when they're like, get your Facebook address. And so I did, but I did it from my personal account. So you can't do just my name. It's not going to go to the right place. So what I came up with is, facebook.com/RosaLinda, the letter S, the letter I, and then my last name, Diaz. So if you were to spell that out, it would be RosaLinda's Diaz. Clever, huh?
Yeah, I love that.
So that's how you get to me on Facebook. So RosaLinda's Diaz.
Well, they can also follow your personal page. I mean, you can have followers on there too. So
that's true.
Everybody go are you on Instagram?
I am on Instagram. It's Gumption, GUMPTION _and_Grace.
We have to talk. I need to help you with social media. Anyway, RosaLinda, you're awesome. I think your energy is just beautiful. I love what you're doing, and I think everybody needs to follow you and watch your journey as you publish 1,100 more books and write that screenplay and get on with the Hallmark thing that Charles is talking about. You're an amazing lady. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And I'm glad it worked out this time too.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, thank you everybody who's watched. Thank you to everyone. A bunch of people did share this out. So thank you for sharing. Excuse me. And so thank you, RosaLinda.
Thank you, Ken.
We'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Oh, and happy Good Friday and happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter, everybody. Yes.
Coming up. So
blessed Easter.
Yeah. See you guys.